Hi, it's Jesse here. 5 minutes. We walk by faith and not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5, verse 6 says this, "So we are always confident, knowing that while we are at home in the body, we are absent from the Lord. For we walk by faith and not by sight. We are confident, yes, well pleased rather to be absent from the body and to be present with the Lord." I want to talk to you about this phrase, we walk by faith and not by sight. First of all, the context, 2 Corinthians 5, Paul is talking about our two homes. One home is in a tent on earth, because we know tents are temporary, they're not comfortable. That's our life on earth, but in heaven, we have a permanent building from God. Then he says when we're at home in the body, we're actually away from the Lord. And when we're away from the body, we're at home with the Lord. And then he says, we walk by faith and not by sight. And this is what this means. Because right now on this earth, we cannot physically see Jesus, our walk has to be a walk of faith. But one day there's going to be a day where we no longer need faith. We're no longer going to need to build up or stir up or work on our faith, because we're going to walk by sight. We're going to actually see Jesus in heaven. It says in 1 John 3:2, it says, when he appears, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. When we go to heaven, we're going to see him just as he is. We're no longer going to need faith. We're no longer going to be needing hope. In heaven, all we'll need and all we'll have is love. So first, this phrase says we walk by faith. We walk by faith. We walk by faith. Galatians 5 says, if you walk by the Spirit, keep in step with the Spirit. Another way of saying this is we live by faith. Living and walking, this word really describes a daily action. That reminds me of when Jesus says, take up your cross daily and follow me. And if you know anything about walking, right, they tell you one step at a time. When you first teach a child to walk, you tell them, just take one step at a time. And if you're out of step, it's really hard to walk with someone. I remember, just today, I was actually walking my dog, and she wanted to go this different direction, but I had to pull her aside so we could walk in step to get to the destination, right? And sometimes we can be like a dog on a leash where God's trying to guide us, yet we're walking in a different direction. So to walk with God, to walk by faith, we have to be in the same pace, in the same step, in the same direction as God. Walking implies a daily decision. Think of it as in the Lord's Prayer where Jesus said, give us this day our daily bread. This day we need daily bread. Then it talks about a believer walks by faith. Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for and the conviction of things not yet seen. Hebrews 11 says. Hebrews says that faith itself is something that you cannot see. 1 Peter says this, though you have not seen him, you love him and believe in him. Though you haven't seen Jesus, you believe in him. That's walking by faith. None of us have seen the physical Christ, but by faith, with the eyes of faith, I believe. Jesus said, blessed are those who have not seen, but yet believe. That's what he said to Thomas, doubting Thomas, right? So the question that comes to us now is, how can we walk by faith? If we're supposed to walk by faith, how can we do this? First of all, we need to stay in his word. Number one, stay in his word. Stay in his word. Hebrews says, in the book of Hebrews, faith comes by hearing, and hearing the word. That's in Romans 10:17. Faith comes by hearing, and hearing the word of Christ. Stay in the word. Number two, keep your eyes fixed on Jesus. Hebrews 12 says, fix your eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith. As we fix our eyes on him, he actually perfects and grows our faith. Number one, stay in the word. Number two, focus on Jesus and the gospel. Focus on what he did for you on the cross, and that will strengthen your faith. So let's bring it down to our daily lives, right? Because that's where we all live. What area do you need to walk by faith in today? What area do you need to walk by faith in? Is it your relationships, your job, your family, your church, your friendships, your finances? You can walk by faith in those areas of your life. You can walk by faith in simple things. It doesn't need to be a big decision. It doesn't need to be the decision of who to marry or the decision of what job to take. We can walk by faith every single decision we have. We can choose to have faith and do the thing that might not seem like the best decision, but it's God's decision. We have to choose God's decision over our next decision, over what we think is the best decision. And lastly, as we walk by faith and not by sight, the reason we can do this, the reason why we do this, is because we have hope. We have hope, and one day in heaven we'll no longer need to walk by faith. So just to recap, right? We walk by faith and not by sight. The believer walks by faith, not by what he can see. Faith in itself is believing in something you can't see. We're in a tent on earth, but we have a building in heaven. We're going to be in his kingdom one day. So walk by faith, stay in his word, keep your eyes fixed on him, and think about the areas in your life where you need to learn to depend on him. Pray about it and seek God. How can I walk by faith? Because you know what? When you walk by faith, it pleases God. This is my last side note. When you walk by faith, it pleases God. Hebrews says, without faith, it's impossible to please God. If you want to live a life pleasing to God, ask God how he can take you on a journey of walking by faith. I'm doing it. I've done it. I've made mistakes and not done it. But every time I've walked by faith, I've never regretted it. God bless. Thank you.